Xbox, Record This is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. If you'd like to find out more, head to xboxrecordthis.com. Oh, hello. Daddy Diwali here, and welcome to Xbox Record This, episode 26. My name is Daddy Diwali, and joining me, as always, the standard tripod here. Speaking of penises,
Hi-oh.
the tripod. Chipotle Bear, how are you, my friend?
I am doing great, man. Happy Halloween to all of our XRTers out there. We are officially halfway through our first year ever on the podcast. And what a better date than my favorite holiday coming up, Halloween, which is super cool. So happy to be here sporting a costume from the past, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And happy to be here with you guys.
All right. And joining us, as always, the assistant to the co-host, Bubble Boy and Seven. How are you, my friend?
Great. Happy to be here. A little sad that J-Biz isn't going to join us this week, but I guess the positive of that is we won't have the jet engine in the background that he seemed to have brought with him from that one.
Yeah, you know, I thought he was on a plane too, just like you. You know, everyone who joins us for the first time is always traveling for some reason.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I jest. J-Biz was fun to have on.
But let's not compliment him too much, because then he really is going to want to be the fourth arm on this chair. So no, I don't think so.
Wait, a quick side note. Aside before we begin, just because I've been catching up on the podcast, actually today as I was making dinner, because I've been getting through some other ones, did you really go back and dub yourself in, Dan, on every one of your parts in that first half of the episode? You literally heard yourself talk, went and re-recorded it, and then put it over? You literally did that for all of it?
Literally, guys, thank you for noticing the Easter egg, finally. Because I was wondering, I was like, I haven't heard about Chipotle Bear and the Easter egg. Yes, Jose, I literally made a copy of the first recording, and I was playing it as I'm recording on Audacity. And literally, when I started talking, I'm trying to memorize and say it as I was talking. And you can tell it was a little off at some points, but it was pretty good. And then I had to edit it in. You guys have no idea. It literally, like I said,
I have an idea. I know what that editing.
I don't think it counts as an Easter egg when you take like a minute to explain it in the middle of the thing.
Yeah, but no
I
one.
think
if I'm the first one to address
re-listened. No, you weren't. J-Biz said it right away.
What are you talking about?
I had.
Yeah. He mentioned in our
chat,
text group that he shouted it out immediately.
It was just, that was.
Yes.
I guess it is an Easter egg because so few people actually listen to the podcast
or get to that point
or
exactly.
in its entirety. Right?
That's exactly why it is an Easter egg. Because if you listen to 45 minutes, I know you listened. So yes, thank you, Jose. I appreciate it. Yes, Jose. I literally was listening to myself and recording and trying to reenact it all. And I also, did you guys check out the video upload of the last episode?
I have not yet, but
check that out.
Bravo to you, because you did. That's incredible. That is dedication, ladies and gentlemen. That's true love for all of you out there.
Like I said in the podcast, I just had to do good audio, and I love the Xbox Record This audience. Speaking of the audience, let's do a few shout outs here, boys. But first, I got to start out with the biggest of shout outs. Shout out to my son, Greyson and His birthday was the 26th. He turned 4. My little boy is turning into a big boy, and it's scaring me. So happy birthday, Greyson. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. You're such an awesome little dude, and I love you. But now I have to embarrass you, son. Funny
happy
story,
birthday,
you guys. Thank you. This just happened tonight, right before I came down, putting my son to bed, you guys. Okay. All of a sudden, I noticed a couple days ago, he hid something under his pillow. And I, at first glance, I was like, oh, it looks like a toy, whatever. I'm not going to think anything of it. Okay. But tonight, I also lifted up a little bit, and I'm like, what is that? And he's like, he's playing, he's jumping on me, being crazy Grace, and I lift up the pillow. Anyone want to guess what is hidden under my son's pillow right now?
Master Chief toy.
Good guess.
Or a lightsaber. Those are my 1A and 1B.
He does keep both of those in his room, but no.
Candy. Halloween candy for snacking.
Okay, guys, I don't know whether to be incredibly proud of my son right now or incredibly worried. My son has a Barbie doll with no shirt on, hidden under his pillow right.
You know, in college, they would call that a study aid. I just want to point that out to everyone.
Grayson.
Wow.
I was laughing so hard, you guys. I'm like, Grayson, what is this? She's like, no. And he jumps on the pillow and closes it immediately. Guys, should I be
Guaranteed that's
concerned?
not the last time that's going to happen.
4, you guys? I remember having my naked Barbies, but at 4,
I don't, for the record. For all our listeners
I have
out
an
there.
answer for you. Yeah. Well, we didn't have sisters, Jose.
yeah,
that's fair.
exactly,
That's fair.
exactly. So
And Dan, you didn't have a sister at 4
well,
either.
true,
though.
but I would, cousin stuff and playing with the dolls. I'm like, oh, look at the boobies, So, son, I love you.
It
but
probably has something to do with something that you would never guess.
I
I can't exactly.
I don't know,
I feel like
man.
it's pretty clear cut. I'll be real.
Grayson's a little horn
at
dog
4.
already. Grayson, do not follow my footsteps. I love you. Moving on. I love you, Grayson. It was
This
cracking
is
up.
it.
Me and-
That's all I'm saying. This
Allie-
is it.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday. Me and Allie were laughing so hard when I told her
Let
about
him
that.
have the doll.
Yeah, I don't care. It's hilarious. Moving on to more shout-outs. Guys, we got a lot of shout-outs. Okay, the show is growing. We're getting some more follows. Shout out to Snake Boxes for the follow on Twitter. Shout out to Raphael, aka Snake Boxes on Twitter. Also, shout out to Satiro85 on Instagram. Shout out Satiro. And a huge shout out to X Bacon Gamin for the follow on YouTube. Not only, you guys, did he follow us on YouTube, he's been commenting all over the place. Love X Bacon Gamin. So here's a comment that he wanted.
I love that name.
I know, right? X Bacon Gamin. Exactly. Bacon.
Well, wait,
Gamin.
hold on. Bacon like sizzling breakfast bacon, or bacon like the goose would like?
We'll have to ask him. Maybe he'll.
Can it be both?
Well, no. Like, how's it spelled? Like bacon, BAKIN?
No,
or
no,
C?
BACON. So is that breakfast?
Oh, yeah.
bacon?
It's the food.
Yeah.
It's the food.
My kind of.
Shout out.
me too.
Shout out to bacon.
We're going to be talking about bacon later too, guys. So he wrote this comment and he said, ask Jay Bizzle why he hasn't beaten me in Gamerscore for the last 4 months. He is slipping. So he knows Jay Biz. So shout out to Bacon. And then listen to this comment. He also said, you guys, I was also in line at the Park Meadows Microsoft store. I believe I was number 43 to pick up my day one Xbox One.
Wow.
The Killer Instinct tournament was off the hook. What an awesome event that was.
Wow.
Yeah. So shout out to Bacon. We probably saw him there and didn't even
I
know
forgot all about the Killer Instinct tournament. Holy cow.
it. Did we? I think we left for a
We
while.
didn't.
Yeah. And then we came. We
didn't do it because they gave us the numbers, right? And we
Yeah.
went over to the always
I wasn't a good fighter.
pleasurable Yard House.
That's right. God, that was such a good night. It's the good old days, you guys. So shout out X Bacon Gamer. Thank you so much, guys. Next up, I wanted to do a warm up. Speaking of Halloween and with Jose appropriately dressed tonight, I wanted to ask you guys, what were some of your favorite costumes for Halloween? It's still the spooky season, just barely until Sunday. Let's celebrate with some of our favorite costumes. Does anyone want to go first, or do you want me to start this off?
You start us off there.
All right, boys.
Master Chief.
So I even made it a list. I need to be Master Chief. I haven't been him yet. Number 5, I was Ghostface. I remember in elementary school before Ghostface Killer and Scream was a big deal. I think I mentioned this before. I thought it was so cool when Scream came out. I was like, I was already that face before, and I was spooky as hell. Number 4, I was Raphael even earlier, and I remember this picture of me with my size crossed like this, and I was such a badass. Okay, so Raphael, I was a Raph fan from the beginning. Okay, I didn't like come into him later, or Raphael, Team NT. This had been back in my Chicago days when I was a small child. Number 3, this was post college, hanging out with Askins and Laura. I dressed up as Seinfeld. I had the tight blue jeans. I had like a hideous red random pattern shirt. I had a wig for long hair. I got to find the picture for you guys and I'll show you that. I was Seinfeld because I don't think you guys have seen that. Pretty good. Number 2, shout out to my boys at the University of Colorado Boulder, Siaka. It was Kyle. I believe it was Macombi, Tom, and maybe Nick. I want to say Nick Wong. We all dressed up as the detectives, cops from the Beastie Boys Sabotage music video. And we would play the music as we were running, or actually whenever we went to a bar, the DJ that at the Halloween weekend would play the music and we would start to go crazy and everybody loved us, you guys. I felt like we were literally like costume superheroes. Also, along with the college costume, tied for number 2. That was senior year. I believe it was junior year. We dressed up as, I was Luigi, Baxter was Wario, Siaka was Mario, and Wong was Waluigi. And we ran around with plungers, fighting in the streets, going from party to party. Another big hit, you guys. You have no idea. We killed it. We went to the Ark or one of the thrift stores, found everything. Even Waluigi with his purple, and Baxter found purple snow pants to be his costume. It was incredible. And except everyone always be like, oh, Mario and Luigi. And like, who's this guy? Like, that's Waluigi. Nobody really knew about Waluigi. Still doesn't get the respect he deserved. And then number 1, and Jose and Chance, you know what number 1 is. And I was telling Chance earlier, my dream persona, Lieutenant Pete Mitchell, a.k.a. Maverick of Top Gun, at Chipotle Bear's wedding. Man, what a night. Got to sing You've Lost That Love and Feeling. Just an incredible party. I've got a little Easter egg about that party too, but I might have to save that for off the air. And so those are my favorite costumes of all time. Gentlemen, who would like to go next?
I will go next, but real quick, a quick aside about that, about the Maverick thing. So during our homecoming week, every year the seniors do one of the days where it's just they get to do whatever they want. It's like a special dress-up day, and this year they chose to do famous duos. And there were 2 seniors who were Maverick and Goose, and they got the full flight suit. One of you even got a flight helmet and like carried it under his arm all day. It was super rad, man. Shout out to those kids.
But that's like they don't kids these days don't know what it means to they're probably like, what's D-Wally mean? He went to the Ark or the Goodwill. Like, you just Amazon anything now and get the costume like that. Like, back in our day, you had to make it.
You're right, but I feel like a lot of our kids still make it. I think they enjoy the hobby of it.
Yeah, it's like a cosplay now. Like, I think that's just like an evolving form of it. And I want to also clarify, my Top Gun costume wasn't the flight suit, you guys. Mine was right after playing volleyball, hot and sweaty. I had the bomber jacket, the white tee, the tight jeans,
aviators.
Come on, give me some credit there. I'm not a freaking Top Gun noob. Continue, Jose.
And Chapo, you got to go last here.
Okay, I'll go last.
Yeah. Let's go Bubble Boy.
Bubble Boy, what do you got?
And it's funny, I had 3 on my list, and I'll start with the one that was not the same, but the same as Daddy D. Wally's from Chapo's wedding. My wife and I were 2 different versions of Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation, and so I was the one with the white sweater and the dickie that you could see underneath, and Ashley just had like that kind of trucker.
It's like an aviator hat, kind of almost.
The robe, yeah. So that was fun. Another year, one of my all-time favorites from a kid was when I was the Ultimate Warrior. And I remember wearing it around for months and months afterwards because I just wanted to be the Ultimate Warrior forever. And then probably, though, one of the most subtle but amazing Halloween costumes I've ever seen was from big fan of the show, my good buddy Nick Tasteless Plot from World of Warcraft or StarCraft fame. Sorry, Nick, if you're listening, or I know you're listening. StarCraft fame. It was the greatest thing ever. So we'd show up to this party, and I don't even remember what I was, but everyone's like, I saw him. I was like, Nick, you didn't dress up. What's up, man? And he turns around. He's like, yeah, I did. And I was like, no, you didn't. And I looked down, and he had taped a potato to his crotch. And he's like, you'll get it. Don't worry, you'll get it. And everyone's like, no, we won't. And he's like, guys, I'm a dictator. And I just loved it. It was so good. It's so subtle. It's so dumb and dad joke, but a little inappropriate. Like, big ups to Nick Tasteless Plot on that one.
That's a good one. So I like Dan. There have been many over the years. A quick one that is not actually a Halloween costume, but a quick honorable mention. And I bring it up also because D. Wally was there for at least one of them. In our youth, prior to being lovely to our wonderful and beautiful wives, we used to go downtown quite a lot to Denver, and occasionally we would do these dress-up bar crawls, basically. One of the most famous ones was an Oregon Trail one, and literally dressed up like a lumberjack. My wife, that I was dating at the time, was a a raccoon. Dan was like you wore like like a coonskin cap kind of thing. Lots of fun. We also were a Boy Scout one time. That was really fun. Anyway, Halloween costumes, top one. Number 5 for me was actually a banana. This was when I was literally an infant, but it's notable because it was a costume my mom made for me. So speaking of which, back in the day when Amazon wasn't a thing and you had to make them, she literally like hand sewed a banana that like unzipped, and I was in it as a baby. But just shout out to mom because she always supported that dream of costumes. Number 4 for me was in college, and I dressed up as Kanye West. It was like right after he had dropped Late Registration, which was a great album before he kind of went crazy. And I literally like dyed a jacket yellow, and I made custom like shoes before he even made Yeezys, and it was a lot of fun. I even made like my own Rockefeller chain out of foil and stuff like that. It was really cool, man.
Hold on, Kanye went crazy?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's always been crazy.
Number 3 for me was a couple of years straight in high school. I was a pimp. And I mean, Dan and Chance probably remember I had some pretty audacious, non-auspicious costumes, like bright red and zebra.
Oh, Jose.
What?
I was going to have a pop quiz. I was going to have a pop quiz at the end because our senior picture, our senior class photo we took on Halloween. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
and
still save yours though.
So
save for you guys. I remember
well,
yours.
If everybody
I don't remember
remembers
Dan's.
what they were.
I know what I was.
Well, yeah, and
I was not dressed up. I was in my normal civilian clothes.
Lame.
I only remember Jose being dressed and be like, look at that
Chance,
kid.
Bob the Builder. I will never forget.
Bob the Builder, baby. Yep.
Number 2 for me was also in college. It was, I think, my junior or senior year in college. Me and all my fraternity mates, we dressed up as literally the Justice League, and we got those costumes with like the fake muscles. And we looked ridiculous because, for the record, none of us have those muscles. But it was a ton of fun, man. And we very quickly into the night realized there was no way to pee in them because there was like no zipper, which was problematic for like a onesie. We figured it out. Don't worry. But that was really fun. And then my number 1 Halloween costume of all time was Marvin the Martian, like the Looney Tunes character. And it was just one of those, like, the hardest part of that costume is his helmet because it's such an iconic, unique helmet. Just by like crazy happenstance, went to visit my uncle in Texas, went to Six Flags, and they were selling these like giant foam Marvin the Martian helmets. And so I bought one, and then I just got long red underwear. My mom made like the straight skirt thing out of like foam, and I was Marvin the Martian, man. It was super fun. I will never forget that. So those are top 5, man. Lots of great memories for Halloween, and excited to now share those with my kids. If Penelope will stop choosing cat as her favorite Halloween costume every year, she just wants to be a cat.
Kitties are cool.
One day. At least this year she chose to be Eevee from Pokemon, right? So at least we got something different. It's another animal, but at least we're moving away from cats, which is great.
Well, guys, thank you for sharing those awesome costumes. If you would like to share some of your costumes, write them in the comments. Send us an email. Where can they write us at Chipotle Bear? Where can they send emails to?
xboxrecordthis@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you so much. Speaking of comments, I just saw we have another comment on our favorite scary movies clip. Did you guys watch that on YouTube, by the way? I did upload the Jose's.
I did.
And Horology Park asks, have you guys seen the movie Mama? Have you guys seen this movie?
No, with Octavia Spencer. No, I never did see it though. I heard it was okay. Never saw it.
Okay. Well, I'll write to shout out to Horology Park. I'm going to say Jose said no, but he heard it was okay. Sorry.
I will try to watch it for next year. We got 366 days to go.
Sounds good. Gentlemen, let's get into some video game stuff. What have you been playing? Bubble Boy, I'm going to start with Chipotle. We'll end with Bubble Boy because I feel like he's got some quick reviews for us as well. So Chipotle Bear, what have you been playing, my friend?
Honestly, the only thing I've really been able to get into this week, fortunately, I was able to get together with Bubble Boy and some other stuff this weekend, which is awesome. Not as much game time though. I've gotten quite a bit further in Marvel Avengers. And here's the thing, like I really truly understand now what people were saying. We're like, it is fun. I do genuinely enjoy playing it, but it's kind of dragging a little bit, and like the aesthetic is like wearing off of like. It really, every hero is pretty similar in terms of what they're doing. And I also got to the part, as Chance warned me, like 4 or 5 episodes ago, where the system for like upgrading stuff is like very complex, very convoluted. And I just think it could have been cleaner, but I will definitely. I'm working. I definitely want to finish at least the main story, and then I want to play the Wakanda one just because I like Black Panther. But I've been holding out because I want to play Visage, and I know we're going to talk more about that later. And then also we're just obviously getting ready for like Battlefield season, right? On the 12th, I think, is the early release, and then shortly after the full release, and then December 8th, baby, good old Master Chief back in our lives. So, I'll get through Marvel, hopefully get through Visage, and then at that point we're back into FPS season. So that's kind of what I've been playing.
Battlefield actually doesn't come out until late November. I think it's like 28th or something like that. So, but you forgot November, I think the 11th or 8th or something.
Oh, it's Forza. Oh my God. I almost forgot.
Exactly.
My bad.
That's coming up. And I have that pre-downloaded. It's 103 gigs. It is on my Xbox. We're going to talk about storage here in a second too. Jose, I have been playing BioShock Infinite still chugging away at that. Still loving it. I think it's a good game. I think that I'm playing it hard right now, and I'm kind of wishing I would have just played on the 1999 mode, which is a little bit harder and not spend any money. I think I could have easily done that, but I don't know if I really want to play it again because I've already played it once. I was talking to Chance. I don't know, Jose, did you play the DLC for Infinite? Or did they go back to Rapture? Okay, so yeah, so it's called Burial at Sea, and I hear it's phenomenal and like an awesome way to end the franchise. So
sure,
I'm excited to jump into that next. I've also been playing Destiny for some. I don't even know anymore, Jose. I like gear that raises me up like 1 point. I don't even know what I'm doing, and I still have 2 campaigns that I haven't finished. I don't know. I guess I just like looking at my character and pretending that I'm doing something to it. But the other thing I've been playing, Jose, I've been going back and paying my respects to the Master Chief, and I've been playing the Master Chief Collection. Last year, I had timed it up where I was beating each game leading up to release of Halo Infinite when we thought it was coming out with the Series X. Then it got delayed, so I had stopped at the beginning of Halo 3. So I finished Halo 3. I'm into Halo 4 right now, and I got to tell you, Halo 4 looks incredible, especially with the 4K and 60. Like, it blows me away that this game was a 360 game. And what's even crazier is that comparing 3, which was an early 360 game, to 4, which was a late 360 game, how much better it looks in general. So shout out to the Master Chief Collection. I'm having so much fun playing Halo. It's just, we'll talk about more Halo stuff later, but I'm just so excited for Halo Infinite. So those are the games I've been playing. I haven't played too much Warzone, actually. I think maybe 1 or 2 games. So ready for Warzone to bring us the new map. Have you seen it, Jose? It's like in the Pacific. Did you get a chance to see it at all?
No, I didn't see it. I was saying the same thing about Warzone. Actually, I'm hoping to get back on a little bit this weekend. And
yeah,
I think the wife's going to go out with some friends on Saturday night. And so I'd love to play with like Snelling, and haven't seen Nico in a while and stuff. So, especially Halloween. I think they have the Halloween event going on right now, and I don't really care about the perks and charms and stuff, but just that was a fun event last year. And who are the characters? It's Ghostface, and who else did they release this year?
Ghostface. I don't know. I just know Ghostface. That's the only one. But I mean, he does look cool, but I don't think I'm gonna buy it. So I agree. I like Warzone, but like I'm ready for a new map and for a change. So Bubble Boy, we've lost Bubble Boy here, you guys. Breaking news: Bubble Boy is gone. It was some sort of emergency. I think he had diarrhea. Is what he was mouthing to us on the camera.
That was the sign language he was sending us.
So we'll get back to Bubble Boy here in a second. Let's just jump into the Xbox news. We're gonna skip ahead a little bit, Jose. Why not? We'll come back to Bubble Boy. First thing, and I don't think Chance is kind of over this, Jose, and I don't blame him because we have talked about this a few times, but it was officially announced that the Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the Definitive Edition, was announced. And this is coming to PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series, Xbox consoles, and Nintendo Switch, which is actually kind of cool. I just wanted to ask you quickly, Jose, what do you think about the price? $60 for games that are very old, and there are some enhancements, and yeah, it looks a lot sharper, but to me, I think this should be like $40 or even 30. Like I don't like that $60 price tag. So tell me what you're thinking, Jose.
I thought the same thing. And here's where it's a little hard, if I'm being totally honest. I don't have the same affinity that a lot of people have to those games. I understand it. It's no judgment. Like, it's the same thing where people are like, God, this guy won't shut up about Resident Evil. I just, those mean so much to my childhood. I know people have that for the early releases of Grand Theft Auto. I just don't have them because I didn't get into it later. Until later, I mean. So I thought the price was really high. Like even Alan Wake, which was really great, was not that price. You know, I know they're big games. I know that it's actually a lot of playtime. So I think you could argue when you're talking like hour per value, like, yeah, it's still a great value. But like, I just think for $60, right now, I'd rather drop that on Forza, Battlefield, you know, Guardians. I mean, I feel like that's real high, man. Now, granted, like I like the Switch thing. That definitely is different because you can take it as a lot more portable, even though I know cloud gaming is obviously a thing, but like, I think that's real high, dude. Like, I'm good for them, I guess. I hope people buy it. I mean, maybe they're just really banking on that nostalgia. I know Bogus or JBiz was talking about that last episode where he played so much of 3. And so maybe that's enough where he's like, oh, I'll totally pay $60. I think that's too high. I think that's.
Yeah, I agree. Like, what could you buy? Like, essentially, aren't these just like a little bit slightly better versions of the mobile versions? Like, how much were those a piece? Like maybe 10 or $15 a pop? Like,
I was
that's
gonna say
still
like
15,
10.
30.
I mean, I think between 30 and 40 would have been a sweet spot.
I think
you know
40
what I'm
would
saying?
have been
Like,
fair.
I think 30 would have been ideal.
I haven't played. I've played 3. That's the only one of these that I've actually played, and that was on the PS2. Like I played that. I remember that was like an iconic game for me for my PS2 at the time. And then I never played Vice City, and I never played San Andreas. And I hear San Andreas is like still people consider that the best. I'd like to play these, but even as someone who hasn't played them and like you said doesn't have this, you know, nostalgia for them, I'm like $60. Like, yeah, I'd rather buy other things at this point. And you're right. I hear they're very long, but I was listening to Destin Legary on Podcast Unlock saying how he's been flying through the campaigns, just replaying them before this release on like PC or something. He's saying they're not as long as you think they are, the main campaigns. Like he flew through them in like 4 hours or something on some of them. He's like, yeah, you could do all that side stuff, but if you don't do it, they're relatively short games. So I don't know. $60 seems steep to me. Bubble Boy, I don't know. This is something I'll wait. I'm just going to tell you right now. I'm going to wait for it to be on sale. I'd like to play Vice City. I'd like to play San Andreas, but I'm going to wait on that one. Very quickly, Jose, let's interrupt the news here for a second. I wanted to tell you. Did you notice what I have in the background over here? To all our audio listeners.
I mean, I can see the N7 helmet up in the behind.
Do you know what this? Do you see
your
what this
screen is real
is?
small on my screen right now, so I can't see what you're pointing at.
This is my Green Mountain Rams 8th grade football helmet that I held on to. Okay, but it makes me sad, Jose. You're telling me you can't see my awesome shoes that I have yet to show you yet. That has taken me forever.
You know what? Speaking of which, I think you had them at the top of the shelf in one of the recent episodes, and I was watching on YouTube, and I was like, I think those are your shoes. We never talked about those. What are they, like a snake skin?
Do you see these bad boys? These are the Kyrie 7s, and shout out to Kyrie Irving. He is a lunatic when it comes to getting the vaccine, and he won't get it, and so he's just not playing in Brooklyn because they require a vaccination to play in the arena. He's an idiot, and he also believes that the earth is flat. But regardless of that, the man makes the best shaped shoes for me in basketball. I think he's my height and close to my weight, so we have very similar proportion and dimensions. And this is my Kyrie 7. What do you think, Jose? What do you think of that style, brother?
I like it. I mean, I always like the clean style with a little bit of flair to it. I like the blue accent there on the front is real nice. And honestly, beyond all that, you know, we're almost in that dad mode portion of life. Comfort is king, man. So if they're what fits you the best, you know.
I know.
Speaking of which, did you see, I don't know how many commercials you see, but there was like a Skechers commercial I saw the other day where they were like, if you're a grown man, hoodies are for children. You need to wear these, like the new Skechers, like basically like zip up sweater. And I was like, what are you talking about? I wear hoodies like all the time.
Hoodies.
I love hoodies.
I like my zip up jacket. I like them both, but like I like hoodies. But yeah, it is a shame about Kyrie though, because he is a phenomenal basketball player, great ball handler, made a clutch shot that won a championship for the Cavs. But man, he's just embarrassing me. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I hope people don't notice that these are Kyrie's when I'm out in the court. But haven't worn them yet, so let's move on. Let's get back to Xbox news. Jose, I want to save this one for Chance though too. So quickly, I just wanted to share now on Game Pass. These were just released. This is coming from our old friend Wario64. I'm sure this is an Xbox Wire, but This was just the other day, the 27th. We have the Forgotten City, Nongun's Doppelganger Edition, Bassmaster Fishing 2022, Backbone, which looks like a what's the Nintendo 64 fighter game with the fox? Why can't I remember that? What is that called?
I don't know. I looked it up.
Looks like a Star Fox ripoff picture right there. And then Alan Wake's American Nightmare, Jose, on Game Pass. I highly recommend you play that for free, especially.
Yeah, I saw that. I'll pick that up for sure.
Game, and it's got a cool story. It's weird because Alan Wake it's kind of like a horde mode, some of the levels, but they do have like a story built into it. I do recommend it because it kind of continues on after the DLCs. Basically, I don't want to spoil the DLCs for you, but basically in the DLCs, he figures out that he's writing these stories and he's trying to survive. He determines that he has to keep writing to survive the darkness, and he's writing all these stories trying to figure a way out. That's all that you really need to know. And American Nightmare is one of his attempts to get out of the darkness, so that will fill you in. It sounds awesome. You'll love it. It looks actually really good. I jumped into it because I was just looking at my old achievements, and I wanted to take a picture of them all in order as I played them. So I played American Wasteland, re-downloaded it. So shout out to American Wasteland, you guys, especially Alan Wake fans. Jose, have you heard about this game, the Forgotten City?
I had not. That was one that was totally new to me when I saw this list of releases.
I suggest you go check out a trailer and read up on it because I've heard great things on it from Twitter. A bunch of people are saying like this is one of their games of the year. And I was listening to shout out to Defining Duke and Mr. Matty Plays on Defining Duke and a good old Lord Cognito. They were talking about it, and they were saying Matty was saying that this was a game that was based on an Oblivion mod, and then it turned into a full game. And I can kind of see it when you watch the video, like the way they talk to people, but it's like a time loop game. You're like sent back through time, and it's in ancient Greece. And I've heard phenomenal things, Jose. I know you're an ancient Greece kind of guy, so check it out. Watch the trailer. I feel like this is one that Bubble Boy would also want to try out as well. And is it
a third party, or is it first party? Like in terms of view and stuff like that? Like is it like Dishonored? Is it like Assassin's Creed? Like
no, It's first person like Oblivion. So you do have like a bow and arrow. I saw in the trailer a little bit. I should have sent you the trailer. And just the way you talk, and there's actually a funny line at the end of it saying like, you show your character selecting his response, and he's like, well, actually I lived through a pandemic. And I thought it was pretty cool that they're talking, it's like tied into present day. And so definitely check out the trailer. I'll send it to you, Jose. Check it out. So those are the new games available on Game Pass right now. I recommend Alan Wake for sure. And this Forgotten City. Eventually I'd like to get to that. I'm not a big fish
Wait, you're
guy.
not going to try Bassmaster 6000?
No, but that's a day one release on Game Pass. Day and date, baby. Look at that big drop.
Yeah, but we need like the controller. Like that's like I always thought that was so cool. Even though I never wanted those games where like it looks like the little reel. Like that's what you need right there.
Do they have ones with?
I don't think they do for Xbox. That's the thing. I think they do for they had them for like the Wii and stuff like that.
Of course. Jose, let's jump into this one because I don't. You're the professional here, and I'm very excited to hear your.
I'm very professional with this hat on. Let me tell you.
Oh well, you did go to the Harvard of the West. Microsoft Office, Windows, and Cloud boost Q1 2022 earnings. Jose, did you read the earnings article I sent you? Okay,
I did absolutely. I was actually really interested when you sent this one.
Microsoft's overall cloud revenue has jumped to 31%. This is coming from Tom Warren. So they reported a revenue of $45.3 billion and a net income of $20.5 billion. Revenue is up 22% and net income is up 48%. Microsoft has seen strong revenue performance in its cloud, server, and Office business this quarter. In general, Jose, I just would like you to explain to me what all these numbers mean and what this means for Microsoft as a company. For me, it sounds like they're killing it and that they've seen a lot of growth in cloud stuff. Compare this to Apple. Like, how do they compare to Apple with their earnings? And I know Xbox is up. They did mention that their Game Pass numbers, everyone's making a big deal that their Game Pass numbers didn't reach their like 48% growth goal, and it was only like 37. The fact is that Game Pass is still growing, and they haven't really released any big games. So to me, it's like, I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but Jose, talk to me. Give me your insight to these Microsoft earnings reports.
I mean, so here's the way I read them. And granted, this was fairly brief. And look, I am not an economic analyst. And I mean, yes, I follow Apple's numbers because I like Apple as a company, but it's not because I don't have stock in Apple. Like, it's nothing like that. It's just interesting to me in general.
Oh, wait, Jose, let me quickly add. Microsoft's gaming revenue was up 16%, $3.6 billion for the quarter, and a record Q1 for Xbox.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say. And then, yeah, I mentioned the Game Pass subscription thing.
Totally. I mean, so starting with just Microsoft as a company, I mean, like, I know everybody wants, including me, wants to compare Microsoft to Apple, and there's a lot you can compare. There are just some things you can't, though. I mean, like Apple, I mean, yes, even as much as I love them, I know they claim that the Apple TV box is a gaming thing. It's not. It's not a gaming platform like the Xbox is. So, you know, comparing those aren't really the same thing. I mean, the closest thing you could, but like Microsoft, I mean, they had the Windows Phone for a long time. They don't now. You know, like, really the only place you can compare them is computers. And the reality is they both copy from each other quite a bit over the last couple of years, despite differences. Like they're very similar in terms of some of their stuff. But in terms of just the money piece of it, so making sense of it. So remember, a key thing when you hear about reporting stuff is revenue is not profit, right? Revenue is the money that they earn for the things that they sell, whether they're services or tangible items. And while $45.3 billion revenue is incredible, like anything in the billions, trust me, you're doing just fine. You have to also keep in mind there are costs associated with that, right? So they didn't say what their profit was. They just said that was their revenue. But again, it points to them doing really well. Now, the interesting part, and this is the part I don't know enough about the financial side, when they say their net income is 20.5 billion. So the way I always explained this to my kids when I was an economics teacher, when you talk about like your paycheck, when you get your first paycheck as a kid, whatever you earn, like whatever your salary is, your hourly wage times your hours, that is your gross income. It is your total amount of money that you quote unquote earned for the time that you worked. And then the way I told kids to imagine if you threw all your money up in the air, and as it fell, you held out a net, and everything the net kept is what you get to keep, right? And everything that falls through goes to things like taxes, Social Security, retirement, all that kind of stuff. So the way that I read that, following that logic here, is that 20.5 billion is kind of what Microsoft gets to keep, not necessarily for profit. They might be using it to put back into their ventures and stuff, but still, again, anything in the B's for billions, they're doing really well. And if they say that their net income is increased by almost 50%, that points to really great things on all sides, whether that's hardware for Xbox, whether that's computing systems, whether that's gaming, software, obviously with Microsoft 365, that kind of stuff. And here's the thing, like, even though in like, as a side note, even though at school, a lot of schools have transitioned to like Google stuff, Google Docs, Google Pages, Google Sheets and stuff, because a lot of it's free, and everyone in education loves free. 365 is really cool, man. Like, we actually have a subscription to it as administrators, and not enough people really use it, but I have a couple times, and it's rad, man. It's basically a web-based platform version of those key software things. I mean, I think that was one of the things that Microsoft, not to be super critical, they should have done.
Yep.
Is that, I was going to say that they kept the price of Office too high for too long. You know,
I was
like
gonna say, they should have moved more towards free and the subscription service earlier, and
exactly.
less
And
expensive.
even if it was cheap, if it was $5 a month or $25 a year,
that's what I jumped on. Yeah,
they would have, I think, gotten a little more on that bandwagon sooner. Speaking about the software or the gaming side of it, though, is that their hardware revenue was up 166%. Now, that's not shocking because they released the Series X and Series S. Like, of course, everybody wanted them. They couldn't get them, right? The demand drives prices and other things like that. So that's not super surprising to me, but it is good news, right, that they're making money. But they also mentioned that their gaming revenue was up 16%, as you said, nearly $3.6 billion for the quarter. Now, remember, like, I think it was three episodes ago, we were talking about Apple's revenue. Remember, it was $8.5 billion. They were bigger than all of the other gaming companies. But remember,
just from portions of things that the software sales, like that's insane. Like just like insane. Xbox, but there's just so many more devices. It's crazy.
That's exactly right. And it's different again. We're not talking about Battlefield 2042 and Forza and Halo. We're talking about Candy Crush, right? Or the dinky games where you're like, oh, I want to be this level. I'll pay $1 just to get the thing I need and get through it. We don't do necessarily those kind of microtransactions at that quantity on Xbox. So even though the number it pales in comparison, it's not concerning to me. They're clearly doing well. I was interested to see if they were going to disclose the number of subscribers to Games Pass, and they didn't. They said that in this article that they didn't list a new subscriber count. The last one that we got publicly was in January of 2021, so 10 months ago, and it was 18 million subscribers. But that's also an interesting number, because you do some quick math, and let's just do for easy math, say it's $10 a month, even though it's not. That's $180 million a month they're pulling from Game Pass, right? And so that's some interesting financial data, right? In terms of what can you do that in terms of acquiring studios, in terms of funding games, in terms of obviously turning a profit for Microsoft and making your investors happy. Some pretty cool stuff. They seem pretty excited about the cloud growth, and that's pretty brand new at this point. I mean, this was the first time they actually launched the cloud stuff for Microsoft, at least on the gaming side at least. So overall, what I think this means is Microsoft is doing very well. And here's where it gets really interesting. So a lot of people will try to compare this to PlayStation. I would be willing to bet, I have no data to back this up, but I'd be willing to bet the PlayStation is outselling the Xbox right now, because they're still insanely hard to get. Like Xboxes, at least the Series S, you can get them if you're willing to do a little bit of work. PlayStation 5s are still people are doing insane things for them. But here's the difference. I mean, while Sony does have other departments, they do obviously have TVs. I think they still make the Vio, right? Don't they make still some computers?
No PCs, but they still have a Xperia. They still have a phone, which I hear are great devices, but no marketing. Yeah. Nobody knows they exist.
Exactly, and you have to seek them out. They're like a niche product almost. I would be willing to bet overall Microsoft is doing really well and has a much stronger financial strategy into the future, especially when you consider the cloud gaming thing, which is great. So ultimately, all that being said, and if you just fell asleep for the last 10 minutes, no, I'm not judging you. I was used to that for 11 years in my economics class. It just means I think things are really going well, and Satya Nadella has to feel really great, man, right? That all the hard work he's put in. And it's not just him, right? That's always the other problem that people forget is yes, he's the head of the company and he's a big dude, but he also has thousands of people that he works with every day. And those, the company is built on the backs of those people. So shout out to all of them and their hard work. Bubble Boy, welcome back, buddy. Good to see you, man.
Welcome back. Bubble Boy is back. He purposely was taking a long cock out.
Yeah, no, that was a dad emergency there. So sorry,
Jose. No worries, Jose. I really wanted to quickie. What is Microsoft's revenue of $45 billion and net income of $20 billion? How did that compare? What was Apple's same numbers? Do you know offhand or no?
I don't. Let me look it up while Bubble Boy gives you some opinions, and I will be back here shortly.
Okay, Bubble Boy. Let's move into this next rumored game, and this is coming from our old friend Jez Corden. Shout out to Jez. He's liked a couple of my tweets. Called him the stepfather of Xbox. He was the one who commented Chance on saying that the whole game Mass Effect 3 was the ending, not just the ending scene. The 20 minutes at the end was the end to the trilogy. Jez reports Project Shaolin. Xbox may be working on a Wu-Tang themed action RPG led by Brass Lion Entertainment. What is it? I heard about a potential Wu-Tang Clan themed game some months ago, but Jeff Grubb verified my information on his podcast. Shout out to Jeff Grubb in Highlands Ranch, adding extra weight to the info I'd received. Funnily enough, a reviewer on the podcast asked Grubb if the developer was Brass Lion Entertainment, which lined up directly with what I had heard also. So in details I revealed on my Xbox 2 podcast, shout out to Xbox 2, I've heard that Shaolin is a third-person melee-oriented RPG complete with 4-player co-op. The campaign is planned to run for a couple dozen hours, complete with rich endgame comprised of seasonal content drops and other updates. You will be able to obtain loot, weapons, gear, and so on in both procedural endgame dungeons and more tailor-made events. Also, it appears that legendary hip-hop group the Wu-Tang Clan themselves will be heading up the game's soundtrack. Brass Lion co-founder Manveer Hare recently put a tweet looking for potential hires to work on an upcoming unannounced action RPG with an anime aesthetic. Bubble Boy, did you read about this potential game, and are you interested at all? Are you a fan of Wu-Tang Clan?
I
I need to
was
know.
what immediately made me think of was the Def Jam Fight for New York
Me
game,
too.
right?
Me too. Yep.
And I think there was another one, wasn't there?
Yeah, there were a couple.
Shaq Fu.
Wasn't there one
And,
with, was that the one with Fitty?
Michael Jordan in the Windy City.
Fitty had his own game, was Blood in the
Oh,
Sand,
man.
wasn't it?
Dang. Well, so this has had to be the early 2000 early aughts. So sorry, go ahead. Bubble
Yeah,
Boy.
no, I mean that's just like what I thought
That's
of
what you're
when
envisioning.
I thought of all this. I was like, cool, I'll take it. Like that game, it was like an over the top WWE, I guess, but I enjoyed it. It's not like
What do you think
I
about it
enjoyed
being
it to the
potentially
point
like-
where I was like, this is a great game. Def Jam Vendetta, that's the one I loved.
Yeah.
Not Fight for New York.
Yeah.
Vendetta was the one that I loved.
So what do you think about the codename though? Shaolin, like,
Yeah,
do you think that might spoil? Or is that giving us a hint, or do you think it's going to be like a Def Jam game, but you're combining? What do you think about it being a potential Destiny Def Jam Vendetta game? Like, how does Game Pass?
when you try to do too many things, it's got the idea that it's none of them are going to be done well, right? They're going to be a jack of all trades and a master, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. Like, I don't love that. I'd rather, hey, this game was stupid, but it was fun, had a great soundtrack, and it was cool.
Everyone loves some DMX party up.
Yeah, right? It was just stupid fun. Like, that's what I was initially excited about. And before I actually read anything and I just saw Shaolin, like I think the link just said, right, Project Shaolin, I was like, Assassin's Creed? Maybe?
Well,
No.
and actually,
Of course not. No, they'll never do what everybody actually wants them to do.
well, there was Ubisoft did have their earnings report or conference call, whatever, and they did say that the next, I might as well just say this in here now, that the next Assassin's Creed game is going to be just single player focused, not a huge multiplayer game. So,
Well, what
there's
happened?
some
What
hope.
happened to the whole, like, we're going to make it games as a service? And
maybe
we're
I don't know. It's going to be content driven. I don't know, but that was the other thing, was that Assassin's Creed Valhalla was like their second highest grossing game ever, and so maybe that's what I heard. Maybe there's definitely plan for more expansions on that. I don't know. We'll see what's with Infinite. Why haven't they done a Japanese or Asian themed Ninja Assassin's Creed? But Chipotle Bear,
Well,
any
there was the China one, right? There was a
but
Chinese
that was
one.
Yeah, that was the
like a
2.5D
2D side-scroller.
thing, though.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'll shout out to JBiz. I'll take Ghost of Tsushima as the replacement for it any day, because that game was better than Valhalla and I don't know any of the last Assassin's Creeds I can remember. So since Black Flag, probably.
Chipotle Bear, what about you? Any thoughts on Project Shaolin?
Well, so but if you read through the article a little bit, because I mean, I thought the immediate thing, I was like, oh god, a video game where like the Wu-Tang Clan are some equivalent of like ninjas or Shaolin warriors fighting through something. Like, it made me think of what was the movie that the RZA was in? That was like a Wu-Tang movie. It was like the Man of 1,000 Fists or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I believe
Did you
it's
guys see that? It
called
was only a
How
couple years-
High, Chipo Bear. How High.
No. They did one. It was like an actual. I mean, that was a great film, by the way. Method Man,
No,
Redman,
yeah,
love it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, like the Man of 1,000 Fists or something, 1,000
Yeah.
something.
That's what I thought it was. But the truth is, what the article actually says is that it's a Shaolin or like some kind of historical Asian setting with the soundtrack from the Wu-Tang Clan, which like that actually, I was like, that actually could be kind of cool if it was like a true, like, imagine Ghost of Tsushima in a little bit different setting, but with a Wu-Tang like score. That's actually pretty cool. I'm down to try that for sure. And here's the thing, the Wu-Tang has always been about that culture. That's always been a cultural element of a lot of their albums, like Enter the Wu. I mean, like they literally call them the Shaolin Clan. Like, that's like one of their rap stage names. So, they definitely, I think, have an affinity and actually a cultural knowledge of the subject. I don't think they're just like, oh yeah, ninjas are sweet, man. I mean, I think they actually study and care, at least the RZA and at least some of the headliners and stuff. So I think it's cool, man. I understand. I mean, I think the other part of this we're forgetting that I think we should also be celebrating is that it's clearly an indication that other genres of entertainment are seeing the value in video games that we've seen for decades, but they also now are wanting to get involved and saying like, yeah, we could totally do that and do it the right way. So, I mean, hopefully at least, you know, even though again, Def Jam Vendetta was fun, maybe that was not the best way to use everybody's IP and stuff. So I'm excited, man. We'll see what comes of it and what it looks like. It also makes me think, because they also mentioned anime at some point in the article, that it was going to have a very distinct anime style, which could be hit or miss. But here's what I will tell you. Have either of you watched that Visions thing on Disney Plus yet? They're like the short vignettes in the Star Wars universe. There's like 7 of them. If you don't have time, just watch the first one, number 1 of the Visions. It is actually a super cool, like 12-minute story. And the art style of it is really, really cool. And I was visioning like, if it was like that as a game with the Wu-Tang soundtrack, that could be a banger. I would totally play that game.
Yeah. Well, thankfully though, it's going to be on Game Pass, so we will check it out for free regardless. So shout out to Game Pass. I'm interested. My only concern is why does it have to be like a Destiny seasons gear kind of thing? That I guess we only have so much time for these content drops. So moving on, last story, the one I've been waiting for a long time. Gentlemen, on Monday we were treated to the Halo Infinite campaign overview trailer. The Banished have defeated the UNSC forces and taken control of the mysterious Zeta Halo, threatening the survival of humankind. When all hope is lost and humanity's fate hangs in the balance, the Master Chief returns to confront the most ruthless foe he's ever faced. Here's a fresh look at the Halo Infinite campaign that introduces players to a true Spartan freedom and the biggest, most wide-open adventure-filled Halo experience yet, launching December 8th, 2021. And this is on the YouTube channel. Bubba Boy, tell me what were your initial impressions, thoughts, ideas, concerns after watching the campaign overview trailer 1 year later.
Shaking my head and smiling because I'm afraid this is going to be my last second on XRT. I haven't watched it yet, and I haven't watched it on purpose.
What?
Yep. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know a thing. Not a thing. I just want to go into it and have every little bit be fun. I'll preface it too with I couldn't watch it. Like the first 2 times I tried to watch it, it wasn't working. And then I was like, nope, this is a sign. I'm just not going to watch it. I don't want to know a thing. I know I'm going to love it. I want to be surprised by everything that happens. I know. Shake your head. That's fine.
I don't blame you, but I want to talk about it right now because there's a lot to talk about. So I wish you would have told me that before you left, and then I could have muted you and when you left.
Chapeau has something to say.
I respect that, and I'll try not to spoil as much as I can, but I'm just warning you now, we're going to talk about some things.
You know what? Let me go get some water.
Go get some water. Jose, we got to talk about this. So Jose, I want to start off by saying quickly, what did you think of it? Just your overall first impressions, because I'm kind of rewatching it now because I want to pause on some of the things that stood out to me.
So there is one tiny critical thing that I have, but it's very relatively minute, which I'll say at the very end. But overall, I was really excited, dude. And you know, here's the thing. So do you remember when it was like 6 months ago, we first got the like first look at Halo, and there was a lot of criticism that like it doesn't look next gen, it looks really basic, and everyone was like mad and worried, right, about this because it means so much to us. But after playing the beta and seeing how honestly stunning it looked gorgeous. And seeing this trailer, I was absolutely like, I cannot wait to play this game. Like I do really actually like that it's open world. I mean, I'm a little on the fence because like I'm almost worried if it's like too big or there's not a lot of direction, that could be problematic in terms of getting frustrated. Where like the other ones are, they're linear. Like if you've never played the other ones, they're very linear games. But I like that. It's just like you start and you enjoy the story and you get to the end and you're like, good story. You know what I mean? Like I kind of miss that piece of Halo. So I'm a little on the fence about that, but overall very excited. The only tiny criticism, because I actually really liked the trailer, and there was also the additional trailer about that the villain, it's like from the villain's point of view where he's talking to the camera like there's no hope, blah, blah, blah. I thought that one was a really cool trailer too. I kind of wanted a new villain. Like, I mean, I know he's a new villain technically, but he's still a race that we've seen before. Like, I was kind of hoping for something totally fresh, kind of like to usher in this new era. But that's a nitpick thing. I'm sure he'll still be a great villain, especially from that preview. What are your thoughts, man?
I mean, we did get a cool new elite that I won't tell Chance about. There's a cool new elite, Chance. But I hear you on the new race. But do you remember who did we fight in Halo 4? Do you remember, Jose? It was the new race. It was the Forerunners, and you don't remember any of them because they were annoying and it wasn't that great. Halo 3 had the brutes, and I love fighting those dang dirty apes. I love taking it to those brutes. So I am hyped to take out some more brutes. One of my fondest Xbox memories was playing co-op with Pony. We were playing the Master Chief again. We were on the level where these brutes just keep charging you and charging you. And I remember it took us like an hour to beat this on Legendary, and they were just ruthless. So I love the brutes. I loved, Jose, the little detail when the Pelican comes in and drops you that little hornet and how it just kind of crashes to the ground. They're like, it's not
teeters
perfect.
a little. I was like,
I love the new AI. Chance, I won't say the name of it. I loved in the trailer how they did, how Cortana's talking. I can't remember her. I think her name's Jennifer Hale. She's like, you'll fight some new enemies, and it showed the new bosses and some returning favorites. And it was right at the same part where Craig was originally introduced, where you melee. The whole Craig meme started there. He's back. He's looking better. He got a mohawk. He's got a shield now. I love how they're playing into, the whole Craig meme. And then, like you said, I'm thinking this game looks. Also the spot where he picks up, Jose, remember when he picks up the Marines and he's like, "You're safe now." And then they get on his Warthog and he just drives over a cliff with the Marines in the back of the Warthog. But I just love that little line of him saying that, and I want to talk about the gameplay, Chance, but I feel like this is a spoiler. But and then the other cool scene was when he's flying the Banshee, Jose. When he's flying up, he does the Rendazook, the battlefield move. He jumps out, rockets another Banshee, explode. Then he uses his grappling to pull himself to another Banshee, and then he kicks the elite out of that and hijacks that and then flies off. Chance, it looks incredible. The year delay was totally worth it. They've done so much graphically. People cannot say this game doesn't look good. It looks good in the beta. It's going to look good in the campaign. I am sad that it's not going to be co-op, but at the same time, I originally said when we first heard that co-op was being delayed, I kind of mentioned or argued that it makes sense with how the campaign is being set up. It is more first person, one player focused, I feel like. And yeah, exactly. And Chance, it definitely combines two of your favorite games. Halo, obviously, but it also compares another one of your favorite first-person shooters that you're actually playing right now. So I am glad I waited on one game that I chose not to buy recently, because I feel like I'm going to get that gameplay aspect of it in Halo now. I'm talking about Far Cry. Sorry, Chance. There's Far Cry elements.
No,
to
you're
it.
fine. You're not. I mean,
and
I've obviously seen or read little bits of things on accident here and there, and it's fine. And if it's going to be spoiled, I'd love it for it to be right here. But that will be new to me. Excuse me, new to me. But great, let them try it. They have polished everything else so beautifully that great. Branch out a little bit, and can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm glad I waited. I'm going to get that kind of gameplay that I've been itching for out of Halo now, and I think that's really cool. There's other things, Chance, but I won't mention it. There was another move that came back. I'm not going to mention it. There are some cool characters. I am all aboard the hype train. I'm going to be... this is going to be my game of the year, I can already tell you. And Forza is going to be incredible, and I know it is. But
speaking of game of the year, I was going to ask, do we need to have game of the year ceremony celebration before Forza is released? Because I don't think anything's going to compare with Halo and Forza, and so there'll be like Halo and Forza, but then we'll do like our your third place bronze medal game of the year watch.
I think you have to treat it like the Oscars, where there's like categories, and we'll have to do that episode around New Year's.
Okay. We're definitely gonna do it towards the end of the year, and that'll hopefully. We should talk about we should record those early so we don't have to worry about it.
Because I'm like, oh man, I am loving Resident Evil 8. It is hands down my game of the year so far. No, I know, but I'm like, but Forza and Halo.
You never know.
so-
Halo might.
Yeah,
Forza
you're
is
right.
not.
You're right.
Halo
You're
might
right.
bomb, but I don't think it's going to. But it might not be as good as Resident Evil 8 campaign wise. But multiplayer, I think that adds a whole nother dimension. And Forza is going to be phenomenal. Like, there's no doubt. That's going to be.
But that's why, and I don't want to poor Resident Evil. I don't want to just be like it's the best horror game, like because it's so much more than that.
No, I don't know. We'll talk about that later. I want to talk about Resident Evil as well. I'm thinking just plan for this top 5 games that came out this year, and we can do top 5 games like in general that we played this year. So we'll come with 10 games if you want, but that's another discussion. So I just wanted any other closing thoughts on Halo. I am all in. I'm so excited. Way more excited for this now than I was Battlefield, and I think that says a lot. And I was really excited for Battlefield. Go ahead, Bubble Boy.
So it is for sure launching on the 8th, though, too. That's correct.
Yeah, why are you
right?
saying that? Why you're scaring me? Did you hear something? If this gets delayed, I will lose it. I can't wait anymore.
What if that was the karma where we want Battlefield to get delayed and Battlefield comes out and Halo gets delayed again?
Well, you know what? I could see the multiplayer coming out then and then possibly delaying the campaign.
That's that's why I asked. I haven't heard anything. I just was like, I know I walked away for a little bit and you did stress coming December 8th, but it's like, I think it's clear that multiplayer is ready to go. And again, if they need another week, not going to hurt my feelings. I know it might hurt yours, but great. I'll just have fun in multiplayer.
When does winter break for you start for you? Is it on the 8th?
We're like
then
a month away. We're like 6 weeks away from this. If they're going to do that, they need to say it now. Like, I don't know. I feel like
I don't think they're going to delay it.
It's just a question.
I hope not. And I agree, Bubble Boy. Like, would it? I'd get over it, but I just think optically it would look so bad for them not to get this game out. So, come on, 343, finish strong, baby. I got faith in you. You've been doing so well. So, gentlemen, quickly, Bubble Boy, let's save your reviews for next week because you kind of disappeared on us. But
you know what? We don't have to. I actually already did them, and they were so short that that's what it was. Scarlet Nexus 6, Far Cry 6, 7.
No, save it. I want some pros, cons, an official review. Let's
pros. I'm done with both of them. I'm playing Resident Evil 7.
All right, Jose, what were you going to say? Really quick?
8. Sorry.
Just real quick about Halo, and then I want to circle back real quick about the Apple earning things because I looked that up too. For our listeners, even if you are a Halo fan like we are, ahead of Infinite, it would be worth half an hour of your time to go to YouTube and type in Halo, the story so far. And you can pick almost any video you can find there. There are some that are better than others. But to watch the story of Halo, it's been so long since we had Reach and 5 that I bet you've forgotten elements of the story. And the only reason I suggested is it would be really cool to be able to catch if there's Easter eggs or nods to the old games in that first playthrough.
You know what would be even cooler is if they just played all the games on Master Chief Collection. Okay,
yeah.
Don't listen, Jose. Go play all of them. It's worth your time. Put it on normal. Go play the games and watch the video because you're probably going to be confused, like I am sometimes.
Yeah, that's the other part. They help explain it too, which is nice.
Yes.
Hideo Kojima wrote it.
Anyway, Jose, keep going. What's the Apple earnings?
So you were asking, or like, how does the Microsoft quarter earnings compare to Apple? So it's not quite apples to apples, no pun intended, because Microsoft it says this is their first quarter of 2022. If I look up the most recent Apple quarter, it was their third quarter, but we're talking the same time of year. Microsoft's was 45.3 billion, Apple's was 81.4, so almost double that. But again, we're not talking about the same thing. Like Apple is, except for the computer part, they're very different in terms of where they're focusing and the way they're earning revenue. And again, 45 billion is nothing to scoff at. That is still easily a Fortune 500 company. They're still doing amazing things. They're creating amazing products. So no
Microsoft and Google and Apple are like top 3 or 4 or 5 with that Facebook in the world, right? So I mean, I'm just curious. What about net earnings? Did they have that or no?
In terms of net earnings, I didn't. So they said they returned. I don't know if this is the same thing. They returned 29 billion to their shareholders, which would seem like a same thing to that, like net earnings for the people that own the company. So that even that they were up by almost $10 billion compared to Microsoft. But again, Microsoft returning 20 billion with a B. still doing pretty good.
Just curious. Yeah, they're both filthy rich, and so is Elon. Guys, let's close the show with some good old days. Well, not the show, but let's go into our next segment, the good old days. And this comes from a write-in from Bubble Boy N7. And if you'd like to suggest a top 5 food or video game related or good old days topic, please write to us at xboxrecordthis@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter, Facebook page. Make sure you like that page. YouTube.
Get Bacon, ask us some comments on there.
Yeah, Bacon, and then the horror story one. Bubble Boy asks, "Hey boys, I've been thinking. I love my music in Final Fantasy, and especially in Resident Evil 8, I'm getting creeped out by this soundtrack and score. What are your top 5 video game soundtracks / music / score? I don't know how to word it. I don't know the difference of all time. So." Chipotle Bear, or actually Bubble Boy, I'm going to swing it to you. You go first since you introduced this.
Chance cares the most about this.
No, I really don't. Because shockingly, somehow, it seems as if those words that you just used weren't from my mouth. I thought of it because I'm so excited to play Guardians of the Galaxy because I did see what the soundtrack is on it, and it's all 80s, just stellar hits. That I can't wait for. So it's like, hey, what other games have some great music? And so I will clarify. Yeah.
Hold on, Jose. I need to ask, what is the difference between a soundtrack and the score? Is the score just like the background music you hear in between scene, and soundtrack is actual like licensed music?
Do you remember when we were kids and you'd go to when we still bought CDs at Target and Sam Goody and stuff? Did you ever make the mistake of buying the soundtrack? I mean, sorry, buying the score versus the soundtrack. I definitely did that, where I went and saw a movie and I was like, I love those songs. I want those songs. And I'd go to the store and buy the CD, and it was all literally like the background music of the movie. Okay. That's the score. The soundtrack are the songs usually that are known by, like they're made by more well-known artists.
Let's just say music in general in these games.
Yeah, and that's what I went with, and so. Because sound it's a massive category that we could go off on. But the music that I heard while playing these games is the way I took it. So I want to give an honorable mention to Red Dead Redemption and the scene. I'm sure everybody knows what you're talking about when you're riding the horse into Mexico for the first time. That was just such a magical moment for me. And I still to this day can go back and listen to that song and just know exactly where it is and where it was taking me. But the rest of it wasn't anything to write home about or that I even remember. I don't know that there was much music. So I couldn't really put it on this list. Number 5, Grand Theft Auto 5. Absolutely amazing radio stations. And I think something that's underrated that I guess doesn't qualify as music is some of the talk radio stations on there. Are hilarious. The greatest thing that ever came from that game in terms of music, though, was one of the first heists where you got in the fighter pilots and the Top Gun thing came on. How do you beat that? That was incredible. Number 4, the BioShock series has amazing music, specifically 3 and 1. I honestly don't remember whether 2 did or not, but 1 and 3, there was so much effort put into specific songs for specific set pieces that happen in those games. And they had that song that Troy Baker wrote, or did he write it? And I know he played the guitar.
Travis
and
Barker,
sang it.
Like Blink.
No. Troy Baker. Dan, help us out, D-Wally.
Voice actor.
He does Baker. Nathan Drake, or he did
William Booker DeWitt.
Booker DeWitt, yeah. So
and he does. He's in. He's all kinds of games. Like you'd know his voice, Jose. He's in The Last of Us. He's Joel, right?
That's what it was. Joel. He is Joel. Yeah. And then so that was number 4. Number 3, Final Fantasy 7. I know Dan will shake his head, like whatever, but it had the one-winged angel when you're playing Sephiroth at the end, and really all the music throughout is just incredible. Number 2, and he's gonna be pissed, and I might get fired, but Halo comes in at number 2. I know. I'm sorry. It's my alarm clock in the morning, and there's so many good songs that just get you jacked, and Halo Halo 2 when the is it Breaking Benjamin song comes on, I think. Like, so well done. And you might give me a pass here. The only game that seemed to beat it for me was Skyrim. Yeah, and you oh, stop. You were nodding like, "Yeah, I know what's coming. I know what's
I
coming."
thought you were going to say something else.
What did you think?
You'll hear my list. Keep going. Let's hear Skyrim. Skyrim's
I'm
good.
just, you'd be walking and you're just like, oh, I think I just want to go for a stroll right now. This is just wonderful, peaceful music. I'm gonna go for a stroll. Vampire comes out of left field, right? But like, I don't know. I just loved the music from Skyrim. So,
Chipotle Bear, do you want to go next? Or you want me to go?
Sure, let me go because I think you guys are going to be mostly disappointed by my list.
No. Here we go, guys.
And here's the thing. I appreciate good sound design. Like, I was a DJ for a long time. Like, I do really appreciate that. But that's not how I think of games. Like, that's usually like very low on my list of reasons why I like a game.
Yeah. Some people, I hear that. Some people like Colin Moriarty on Sacred Symbols. He sometimes just turns the music off or listens to podcasts all the time. It depends on the game.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I can see that. Or just has like subtitles the whole time, just reads, Go ahead.
Yeah. So actually a lot of mine are very old games by modern standards. So like my number 5 was actually Donkey Kong Country. As silly as that sounds, it has an awesome like background score, just all the levels. And I think about
that
even like
underwater level,
yeah, or the industrial levels. You know what I mean? Like it was a good one. I really like Donkey Kong Country's soundtrack. Number 4 for me was Final Fantasy VII. For a lot of what Chance said, I think it has a great soundtrack, and some of that I know is nostalgia. Some of that is like the rose-colored glasses of my youth and stuff. But the fact that a lot of nerds know those songs and that they actually made it into like mainstream almost, or at least mainstream in the game world. Yeah, I mean. That's clutch for me. Along similar lines, my number 3 was the Mega Man soundtracks. I just think about those like 8-bit sounds of when you're playing the bosses and running through the levels, especially Mega Man X. That was like one of my favorite ones for the Super Nintendo. I just like that. I like those kind of scores. Like, and people have made obviously like remixes of them and stuff in the modern age. I think those are really cool to hear. Number 2, along similar lines, is the Super Mario Brothers. Like literally NES game, you hear that noise or any of those sounds from Mario. People have them as their ringtones and stuff like that. You identify that everywhere. And I think that's a really cool aspect of just modern culture today, where like, I think about like when a new teacher, like we have new teacher orientation, and inevitably like you'll hear someone's phone go off and it's like the coin sound. And I'm like, hey, we can be friends. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I think that's a cool thing. And then my number 1 was Halo. God, just that Gregorian chant is just so iconic, and you just hear it and everyone just knows what that sound is. I remember bringing Halo 2 home after the midnight launch and turning it on, and that's all I heard. And I was just like, I am so jacked. All of my sleep is now, I don't need sleep. Sleep is for rich people, right? Like I'm ready to do all kinds of stuff with Halo. And then just 2 real quick honorable mentions for actual like quote unquote like recorded music. Need for Speed Midnight Racing. It was like a around the Fast and the Furious time. It actually had some really great radio stations. I think they had a Jim Morrison Riders on the Storm remix with Snoop Dogg that like always sticks out in my head. It was a great soundtrack. And then Killer Instinct, we brought that up earlier. I think Killer Instinct had a great soundtrack. Like I still remember some of those, like they're like very 90s synth sounds, but were really, really a lot of fun. So, I don't love sound design the same way other people do. I don't remember it like that, but those are just a lot of their like youthful ones that I still hear and get excited about today. So that is my list. What about you, D. Wally? What do you got?
That's pretty good, Jose. There's some good ones, and I think you're going to be surprised at mine because I think I got a pretty good, diverse list here. Similar to Jose, out of respect, Super Mario Brothers theme / I had to add Donkey Kong. You're right, Donkey Kong on Super Nintendo, banging soundtrack. Do you remember when you went to Funky's Rides, like the coconut, like he's just an incredible soundtrack. And Super Mario Brothers, everybody knows it. That's like the beginning of great music in video games. And I think you're going to be surprised here. Number 4, Final Fantasy, out of respect. You got to have it on there, Chance. You're absolutely right. There's just great, very just iconic music. And even though I don't love Final Fantasy as much as you guys, I have to have it on there. And then just like the opening, Moving on, number 3, Grand Theft Auto 5. Jose, I had to write this in. You were absolutely right. I completely forgot about this. Banger
that was
after banger.
Shady.
That was Chance. But
Oh, sorry.
you're right.
Sorry. Bubble Boy. Sorry. Amazing. And shout out to DJ George on Radio Mirror Park. I still immediately, if I go back and play this game, I will immediately scroll to Radio Mirror Park. DJ George is hilarious. And that's why when I send you guys text saying, it's over, move on, that's a DJ George reference. Just hilarious. All of the DJs and commentators on the radio stations, just incredible. That game, the details, man, Grand Theft Auto 5, just a masterpiece of a game for so many reasons. Number 2, I'm surprised and shocked and angered that none of you had this on your list of the Mass Effect franchise as a whole. Should have been on your list, you guys. The map music, the galaxy map music.
Yeah, that's a good one. The galaxy map music is a good one.
It was close, and I couldn't. He's just going to keep going, yeah. If you want a timestamp and then skip ahead 17 minutes, exactly 17 minutes from now, he'll stop doing this.
Come on, you guys. The Galaxy Maps. And then the Overlord DLC.
Yeah, Overlord was a rad part.
It was a little too much synth for me. Which is strange, because I love my 80s. But
and then we have the greatest, the Mass Effect 3 opening.
Sorry, 19 minutes. Skip ahead 19 minutes.
This is a grown man, folks, who's doing this right now.
Come on, the opening, the Mass Effect 3 when you're leaving Earth. Are you kidding me? That opening music segment, Chance?
I'm not saying it's not great.
I can't believe it. And then,
it all kind of sounded the same.
And then number 1 Mass Effect theme is the Omega Club music. When you're in Omega and Mass Effect 2 for let's see. Shoutout to Mass Effect, Callista. That's the name of the song.
I can't wait to hear what you do for your number 1 Halo spot.
And then you already know.
I don't know what it was. For some reason, episode 26 seemed like that's when we lost all our listener base. I don't know what it was. It couldn't possibly have been all the singing we tried to do.
Or Wu-Tang Clan reached out and was like, hey, you guys want to be part of Project Shaolin?
Me and Matthew, non-shout out to Miso Pony. Whenever that music would kick in and you'd hear the in the background, that we would literally scream that to each other all the time as that's playing. Number 1, you already know it's got to be Halo, the most iconic of all music. Everybody knows that. People who don't even know video games knows that. They played it at the Ohio State marching band halftime show. That's when you know you've made it to big time. Shout out to Halo. Can't wait. And like I said to you guys earlier, the composer for Ori and the Blind Forest is the lead composer for Halo now. Mm-hmm. I cannot wait to see what he does with all that iconic music. So thank you, Bubble Boy, for an incredible good old days music theme. I'm so pumped right now. Let's move into the best food we had this week. Who would like to go? You know what? I'll go first. I'll go first, guys. As usual, once a week, I always get my Popeyes. I had it again today. Incredible. I couldn't resist myself. I'm right at I-70 in Peoria, and I'm like, I can see the sign. I guess I got to go get one.
I'm going to beg you on the XRT page. I think we need an official Popeyes count for the XRT cast. Okay. Every time we have a Popeye sandwich, like how many sandwiches have been consumed? Because you just imagine in like 5 years, it's like, what's our count? It's in the 10,000s. We're actually ashamed at this point.
I used to weigh 190.
They named a sandwich after him.
Dude, we need to get that merch, Jose. We got to talk about that later. But this is a huge shout out. Despite I had the chicken sandwich, and normally any other week that'd be number one. I also had Chipotle, Chance. I have to give feedback really quick. I got carnitas. I don't normally get carnitas. Too salty. It's just too salty. I did the double. But here's the thing. It paired well with the queso in the burrito. I liked it a lot, but it was just too salty. I got to stick with chicken. But the number one food, huge shout out to my wife. Tonight, she made us breakfast for dinner. One of the greatest things of all time. We had eggs. We had her delicious bacon that she puts in the oven, and we had pancakes. My God, you guys, that's all I need right there. That's like my ideal breakfast.
I have to feel like
right
you guys
there.
were just
Shout out
talking
to
about
Allie.
Jose and Victoria before, and that's why you're like, wait, Halloween, breakfast for dinner, done.
I love breakfast for dinner.
I could do breakfast for dinner every day. I love those foods, specifically pancakes, bacon, and eggs. Like that to me is number one. So shout out, Allie. Thank you so much for an incredible meal. Who would like to go next?
I'll go next. We can let Chance close it out this week. He actually we might share one of ours together this year. So on Saturday, this past Saturday, we got the old families together for the Elizabeth Pumpkin Patch. Got to go visit Bubble Boy out on his turf, which was really great. Let the kids play for a little bit. Now 2 years running for us, 3 years for his family. And hopefully next year, Daddy Diwali and Allie will join us with the Diwali crew.
Again, let me clear for the audience. I was planning on going, but we had our neighbors down the road invited us to a birthday party a couple weeks ago. Totally forgot, didn't know. Also a great time. So shout out to our neighbors. Sorry, next year, gentlemen. Go ahead, Jose.
No worries. Anyway, one of the new additions they had this year was they actually invited some food trucks out. And the one that we had for lunch, and I don't even remember what was the name of it. It was a Mexican restaurant. Chance, you remember? I don't know if I can figure out a shout out to them, but they were loaded fries is what they called them. But the best part was, so it was basically like fries with like queso, salsa, guac, cheese, all kinds of stuff. And then the best part was like you get to the window and they're like, what meat do you want to throw on there? And you could choose from their meat. So of course, the one true answer, carne asada, right, is what we both got. They were phenomenal. They were such good fries. They were delicious. They were filling. Price was right. That was definitely amazing. And then my other just quick mention, I know we mention it all the time, but my 8th year anniversary with my wife was this past Tuesday. We've been married for 8 years, got married October 26th, right? Same as Grayson's birthday right there this week. She surprised us with the melting pot, which she made a reservation, and we all went in costume. So I went as Ash Ketchum, and my two daughters were Pikachu and Eevee, and Victoria was a Pokeball. And the cool part was on Tuesdays, pro tip, kids eat free at the melting pot. You did not know that, so just keep that in mind. And because we were in costume, we got an extra like 10 to 15% off our bill. So great anniversary, a lot of fun. We got to take the girls to it was not their first time, but the first time where they really remembered it, to the melting pot. They loved the chocolate course, let me tell you what. So those were the best things I ate this week. You know, it's been a good run. I probably need to start running on the treadmill again, just as we get into winter.
You and me both. Go ahead.
All right,
Awesome.
Boy, what do you got?
Well, and I have to add, because the one I had two, and the one was those loaded fries. And the best part was both of our lovely wives would never have ordered that. At least I don't think. And 99% of the time I order things like that. It's never like I'm like in trouble, like how dare you can't do that. But it's always like, again, you're gonna really not a salad, Brussels sprouts, something like that. They both looked at us and were like, they were like, oh, well, that looks incredible. Like you could just see.
So we're like on our 16, but it is really good.
Yeah, let me get a bite. Let me get two. Let me get three more, 7. Oh yeah, like you could tell they had order envy. And then number one, if you've never had Parlor Donuts before, either of you guys, Parlor Donuts. Oh my goodness! Shout out to Miss Nicole Cruz, our current counseling intern at Gateway. She brought them in. Was it, Monday, Friday? All the days are the same. I don't even know. She brought them in. Could have been 7 years ago at this point. I've never had a cronut before, the croissant donut, and I believe that's what these all are. They're probably, and this is about as big as my face, right? Like, they're big donuts. And I love donuts, and I love the Fruity Pebbles ones, and when they get really fancy, I'm not opposed to that, but sometimes it's a little too fancy and it's like there's no donut there anymore. This is not. It's a simple. It's pretty. They have some nice like flavors that they stick to, and nothing crazy over the top. Everybody there too, all the other counselors, even counselors and people who are like on diets, were like, "Yeah, I have to eat this anyway." It's so good. They're entirely too good. They also have breakfast tacos there. They have a chorizo breakfast taco and an avocado one. I know. I will be going back. So it's off. It's a little bit of a drive, but Dan, I guess if you're at work, it wouldn't be off of. I mean, it still would. Parker and like Smoky-ish. Yeah, just phenomenal. Absolutely incredible.
Love me some donuts. Well, thank you, gentlemen. This has been Xbox Record This, episode 26. My name is Daddy Duwally. You can find me across all social media at Daddy Duwally. Chipotle Bear, where can people find you?
You can find me on the Twitter at Chipotle_bear, or you can find me on Instagram at Chipotle Bear. And, happy Halloween again, everybody.
Yeah. The spooky season, just for a few more days. Happy Halloween. And also joining us is Bubble Boy and Seven. Bubble Boy, where can people find you?
Tomorrow morning, probably at Parlor Donuts. I'm hoping to stop by there. So
getting some tacos.
Sounds good. Drop them off to me as well. Thank you for all of our listeners. Please send us your spooky Halloween costume ideas. Make sure to drop by Chipotle Bear's house. Speaking of Chipotle Bear, I need to drop by with the kids and check out your house. Allie would also love to have you guys over. Chance, you're welcome as well, but I know you live out in Kansas, so it's a little bit further of a drive for you.
I still have Grayson's shoes, by the way.
yeah, no, I'd love.
From the summer.
I love getting a trip back to the old stomping grounds. We'd love to come out.
Well, you definitely should. This has been Xbox Record This number 26. As always, gentlemen, see you online.
See you online.
See you online.
All right. Xbox Record This is a podcast created by Daniel Walenzik. You can follow him at Daddy Duwally on all social media. The assistant to the co-host is Jose Martinez, and you can follow him at Chipotle_bear on Twitter. The assistant to the co-host is Chance Siegel, and you can follow him at BubbleBoyN7. You can follow the show at Xbox Record This on all social media. If you'd like to find out more about the show, visit xboxrecordthis.com.